mentioning India and China. Yes, those countries are the largest buyers of Russian oil, and this is a fact. They supply Russia with oil money. They supply Russia with weapons as China directly. And this is something that could be solved, not with those countries directly, because these countries are both very difficult for public advocacy, for any campaigns, but it could be solved from the sanctions, secondary sanctions from the US, as it happened in the past when they banned certain financial operations, and India immediately stopped buying Russian oil because that was the effect of oil sanctions, which were imposed by the US government. And the most important thing is that we don't need to invent a vehicle again, or because that's already been invented, and governments, we just made sure ourselves communicating, briefing those governmental officials in the US and EU. They know perfectly well what could effectively stop Russia, including the secondary sanctions. And when there is time, they impose them really effectively, as for Article in G2 and for the sanctions I mentioned on financial institutions, including Gazprom Bank, that disabled financial transactions for Russian oil, and it stopped the business, or sanctioning shadow fleet. The case is that government just don't want to use the information they have, taking the right measures. And this is a huge issue for us as Ukrainians and for our diplomats, for our government, to keep persuading, working with those governments, including in the global south. As I know, it's been in progress, it's been underway, because change is not happening overnight. It's the shift, especially the shift on sanctions, can only be seen over time.